We're now joined by a Senior Research Fellow and Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, Thembisa Fakude. Always good to talk to you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, they're calling it historic. I mean, it is quite a thing, isn't it? The former head of state in America is indicted on a criminal charge.
It is historic, and for me, of course, the only sad part in all of this is that all other news items that are important are going to be taking a back seat as long as this trial is on, which is going to be unfortunate. We already know that media institutions are preparing their budgets, and there's going to be a huge media circus, at least from Tuesday and whenever Donald Trump appears. So that's the only downside of this entire saga, is that the important stories that we all like to follow and we all like to have our colleagues covering are going to henceforth, at least until the end of this, will take a back seat.
All right, so let's start unpacking some of these things. It is interesting, when we were listening to some of the people on the street there in that last package we showed, diehard supporters, I am sad that we have to go through this. Another one said that it's politics. And nobody wants to pay attention, particularly Trump supporters, on what he's actually charged with. I suppose this is the nature of the beast. Forget about what the issue is. It's more about he's a Republican, he's our president, and that's it.
Yeah, well, Trumpism is becoming a religion. People are following Trump blindly. We've seen how that has also compromised politics within the Republican Party, where people know that if they do not support nor endorse Trump's political policies or objectives, the chances are they might not make it. And political careers subsequently get compromised. So Trumpism is becoming a very strong movement, and people are arguing that, in fact, during this entire saga, starting from Tuesday, Trump might get an opportunity to further amplify his importance and pursue his political ambitions of becoming the next president of the United States come November 2024.
A number of Republicans have come out in support, and I just wonder if this is genuine, or it's just, we have to be seen, but we hope he genuinely gets charged and he's out of the picture.
Well, most of them still believe that the victory of Joe Biden was a stolen victory. He's not a legitimate president. Trump was supposed to be inaugurated as the president of the United States. The vote was stolen.
Real politicians.
The Republicans are, all of them...
real politicians. I mean, I understand that on the base, on the ground, ordinary people. But come on, congressmen, senators, senior political figures cannot surely believe the election was stolen.
I mean, they do. If you remember the Betha issue of Barack Obama, ridiculous allegations. But they did believe that those discussions took place and occurred at much more higher echelons of politics in the United States. So it's no surprise now that you still have people who support Donald Trump because of the support that he has. As I've said, Trumpism has become a religion. It's a movement, a very strong movement. People believe him, that he's the one that can take them out of the current dire economic and political conditions in the United States. So the Republican politicians understand that sacrificing the support for Donald Trump may also mean, some impact on their political ambitions.
DeSantis says, I am not going to cooperate with New York to extradite Trump. And yet he is an opponent of Donald Trump in terms of presidential race. How can we believe a guy who will benefit if Trump gets indicted, charged and jailed?
Well, it's all about constituencies. So if he does prevail over Trump, he's hoping, of course, that he's going to take that support or the Trump supporters with him. So again, the Trump support is key at the moment, and I think it's going to be the case for decades to come in the United States, that will find that the Republicans will continue insisting on supporting Donald Trump blindly, simply because he has managed to create a movement, which is something that many previous politicians failed to do. Now you have a new prophet in the name of Donald Trump, and people will do whatever it takes. I mean, some people were crying when he lost, strongly believing that he was a prophet sent from above to come and save America from what is dubbed as the ultra-left, which seeks to change the American way of life.
The story, I mean, the charges are sealed at the moment, but when this gets ventilated, when this court case plays out, people are going to hear sordid details, salacious details. Might that change the view of a lot of people? Because it's one thing to believe it's political, it's one thing to believe that it's trumped up and all of that, and it's another when evidence is put on the table, bank statements, conversations, affidavits. Might that change the Trumpism effect?
I don't think so. I mean, notwithstanding that every court of law in the United States ruled against Donald Trump with his false claim that the elections were stolen, people still do believe him. And that's the irony of the whole thing. People do believe that Donald Trump is a prophet, and as a prophet, he'll have to go through certain trials and tribulations. And he has quoted the ultra-right wing and the Christian belt within the United States. So he is likely to continue surviving these allegations, notwithstanding, even if, by the way, the court of law does find him guilty of certain violation and crimes, chances are he will continue enjoying the support that he's currently enjoying, because he has managed to establish what none of the Republican politicians in the past have done, which is creating a movement.
If he does get convicted, is that an opportunity for the Republican Party to reformat? Yes, there'll be noise left and right from outside, but certainly he won't be in the political game in the mainstream, at least.
Yeah, but we're talking about numbers here. And if he does get convicted, chances are this movement will be much more stronger. And this is the base that most Republicans depend on in terms of numbers when it comes to votes. So Trump is going to be relevant in the Republican politics for a very long time. And the politicians do understand that. So whether he's convicted or not, what he has established is key. And it's a source of survival for many politicians. So whatever happens to him, he's not going to lose the status that he has now, that of being a leader of a constituency that believes that Donald Trump was destined for this position, and God decided on Donald Trump to lead Americans. And as long as that's the case, you are likely to, or unlikely to have the Republicans abandoning Donald Trump if he's convicted.
No comment from President Biden. I guess he's fearful that this could be politicized if he was to say one thing.
Oh, yeah, he knows that it's going to be politicized. But I think at some point, if it does stand for re-elections, you'll have to say something about it before the actual debates start. You'll have to utter something. I think, though, that the White House communicators will be putting forward some positions about this. But I think also that Joe Biden understands the power of Trumpism and is also worried that that could easily fuel some sort of instability within the United States, because you know that most of them are armed. We saw what happened on January the 6th when they stormed the Capitol Hill. Something violent might also ensue if Donald Trump is indeed found guilty. And I think Joe Biden is preparing himself for that, and he's afraid of Trumpism.
Wow. Interesting times we're living through. Thembisa, always good talking to you. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, that's Thembisa Fakude, who's a Senior Research Fellow and Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, talking to us about Donald Trump. And he's apparently going to hand himself over on Tuesday, facing hush money that he paid to an adult entertainer in the lead up to the 2016 elections. And yeah, people waiting to see. It's probably going to be as big as the Oscar Pistorius trial here in South Africa, if you remember that back in the 2000s.